So the Obama administration wanted to replace the president of Syria, and the Russians were getting in the way. The Russians in 2015 were using their military at the request of the Syrian government to defend the Syrian government from the United States, at a time when the United States, as you just heard, was publicly declaring our intention to overthrow the government of Syria. On the ground and over the skies of Syria in late 2015 were the United States and the Russian militaries. The scene was set for a proxy war. 2 weeks after this hearing, on November 19th, 2015, already a presidential candidate, Hillary Clinton, gave an address on C-SPAN, on public television around the world, to the Council on Foreign Relations, which is a global organization where regime changers plot their world domination. Except I'm not kidding, that's actually what they do. And this is what Hillary Clinton told the world was her plan for Syria as president of the United States. I have not edited this.
So we need to move simultaneously toward a political solution to the civil war that paves the way for a new government with new leadership, and to encourage more Syrians to take on ISIS as well. To support them, we should immediately deploy the Special Operations Force President Obama has already authorized, and be prepared to deploy more as more Syrians get into the fight. And we should retool and ramp up our efforts to support and equip viable Syrian opposition units. Our increased support should go hand in hand with increased support from our Arab and European partners, including special forces who can contribute to the fight on the ground. We should also work with the coalition and the neighbors to impose no-fly zones that will stop Assad from slaughtering civilians and the opposition from the air.
So presidential candidate Hillary Clinton wanted a
new government with new leadership
in Syria. To get that new government,
we should immediately deploy the Special Operations Force President Obama has already authorized, and be prepared to deploy more.
And she intended
to impose no-fly zones.
No-fly zones. Well, Syria was the zone, and so if she were president, she wanted to stop planes from flying over Syria. And how do you enforce that with your military? Well, you shoot down the planes that fly over Syria. And whose military was flying planes over Syria? Russia. And so impose no-fly zones was a lizard person way of threatening Russia militarily and very obviously to those up on the lingo. Just 4 months after she gave this speech to the warmongers of the world, by mid-March, Hillary Clinton had racked up a substantial lead in the Democratic Party primaries. She was ahead by hundreds of real delegates. And that's when the Russians began their internet-based attempts to prevent a Hillary Clinton presidency. I can see a very clear, reasonable motive for the Russian government to want to prevent a Hillary Clinton presidency, regardless of who the other nominee was. Although the other nominee was this guy.
With her, you'll end up in World War III. She doesn't know what she's doing. So you're not fighting Syria anymore. You're fighting Syria, Russia, and Iran. What we should do is focus on ISIS. We should not be focusing on Syria.
And so I can clearly see why Russia would find it in their best interest at that time to try to steer the outcome of the 2016 election in a way that they could make sure that Hillary Clinton would not become the most powerful person in the world. And I can also see why they would consider Donald Trump to be a better option for them.